Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman and Robin, Batman Reborn. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batman and Robin, Batman Reborn, is the first story arc that we have Grant Morrison do with Batman since R.I.P. and Final Crisis. And there's a lot of differences between this Batman writing and the previous writing Grant Morrison has done with Batman. The first and most noticeable and most obvious difference is that Bruce Wayne is not Batman. Rather than the first Robin and Nightwing, Dick Grayson would be the new Batman. And Robin is no longer Tim Drake, but rather the dickhead illegitimate son of Bruce Wayne, Damian Wayne. The second big difference between this story and Grant Morrison's other Batman work is that this is a very much more grounded Batman writing than anything else he has done. Now, just because this is more grounded than his other Batman work doesn't mean that you can overlook all the subtle things that Grant Morrison throws out at you. No, see, that would just be stupidity. With Grant Morrison, you have to look into everything. That flower that you see there, yeah, that could mean something later on. Oh, when Damian Wayne picked his nose, yeah, that probably means something too. Ah, yeah, when Joker farted, yeah, that definitely means something. Oh no, Scarecrow didn't flush the toilet. Yeah, that probably means something too. But despite all this, this is definitely much more grounded than anything else that Grant Morrison has done, at least with Batman. Now, with that said, this story has been actually divided up into two stories, which really show the first two story arcs of the Batman and Robin series. The first story arc does multiple different things, but mainly it does two big things. One is it sets the tone for the comic in later issues in the series, and second is it establishes Damian and Dick as Batman and Robin, as a cohesive team. Now, when I said that it sets the tone for this comic series and for the future issues in this comic series, is that despite the fact that Dick Grayson is Batman, and despite the fact that he kind of comes off as the main character, he's in fact not the main character. See, this is more of a Bruce Wayne story than it is any bit a Dick Grayson story. See, Dick Grayson is used as a tool to tell this story for Bruce Wayne. To quote, well, two quotes from Grant Morrison. The first quote saying that, in an interview, he said that this story isn't to prove that someone else can be Batman. This story is to prove that only Bruce Wayne could be Batman. And in a second quote that Grant Morrison has done is that this is just another chapter in Bruce Wayne's life, the big epic story that I have for Bruce Wayne as Batman. Or something to that effect. I may not be quoting exactly. But this story, or at least this story arc, along with the whole entire series, isn't a story about Dick Grayson being Batman, but rather not Dick Grayson being Batman used as a tool to tell a story about Bruce Wayne. See, in this, especially in the first story arc, we get to see Dick Grayson doubt himself as Batman, saying that he can't do the work Bruce does, that no one takes him seriously, not even Gordon, and that he probably can't live up to the image of Batman. Sure, there was some inspirational words to cheer him up from Alfred, saying to play the part and play it like it's theater, because Dick Grayson, worked in the circus and they connect somehow. But anyways, despite those motivational words, it's still, the overall effect is that Dick Grayson can't live up to the role of Batman. And we see this throughout the rest of the comic in that, well, Dick Grayson screws up a lot where Bruce Wayne would not. So that's the first big thing of the story arc. The second part of this first story arc is it establishes Damian Wayne as Robin, Dick Grayson as Batman, and them working together as a team. Because after Batman Battle of the Cowl, they were kind of just thrown together. They didn't really have any time for this team to develop. And even then, this is only the first week of Batman's career, or Dick Grayson as Batman. So, in this first story arc, we see them start off as kind of, meh, I don't like you, you don't like me, to, okay, we'll be partners. And they have some synergy to each other. I mean, the overall story to the first story arc deals with something to the effect of some guy called Professor Pig. I believe that's how you pronounce it, P-Y-G. And he likes removing people's faces, which is funny because Grant Morrison has an obsession with people and their faces coming off. Batman in Black Glove, the killer wears his victim's face. Batman R.I.P., we have one of the Black Glove members who has a fucked up face that I believe is surgically put on him. And now in the Batman and Robin stuff, we have people getting their faces removed and new faces put on. And later in the story arc, we have Scarlet, who is a victim of that. But we'll get into Scarlet later. So, Grant Morrison has some kind of obsession with face removing? I'm surprised he's not using Two-Face that much. Anyways, with that said, that's basically the first story arc, really to establish the foundations of the series to come. The second story arc is the story arc that deals with the revenge of the Red Hood. Now, Red Hood returns, and I'm going to spoil something here for you, but it's not really a spoiler because you find out in pretty much the first issue that it is indeed Jason Todd. And Jason Todd is just as mentally as stable, if not more, than he was in Batman Battle for the Cowl. See, Jason Todd is very, very envious of Dick Grayson, because Dick Grayson is what Jason Todd could never live up to. Despite the fact that in our comic book world, that Tim Drake is probably the most balanced and most well-done Robin as of now. For Batman, the character, Dick Grayson was always the best. They had the perfect synergy with each other. And Dick Grayson is something that Jason Todd could never live up to. And seeing that Jason Todd's crazy, he holds this resentment against Dick Grayson. In addition to that, Jason Todd also wants to become the vigilante he believes Batman always should. You know, kill the bad guys, have the punishment fit the crime, you know, that kind of shit. So, you really see a clash between Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. While at the same time, Scarlet, who is a new character that gets introduced, that is a character that I actually really enjoy, clashes with Damian Wayne, using him and his emotions against him. We also get the introduction of the Flamingo, and the Flamingo, despite the fact he wears pink and very flamboyant, he's actually very scary too. So the Flamingo is pretty cool. And that's pretty much the second story arc. So with that said, let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. First good is, well, it's good writing. It's Grant Morrison writing good comics. You know, in DC, there's very few things Grant Morrison has done that I thought was bad. I enjoyed his JLA stuff. You know, his Batman stuff is clearly good. So overall, it's good writing. I really liked how Grant Morrison made me like Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne as Batman and Robin. See, no one can be Batman but Bruce Wayne. That is fact. No one. Anyone else that tries to is just a poser. But at the beginning of the story, I felt that. But towards the end, I actually started to have Damian Wayne as Robin and Dick Grayson as Batman grow on me. And when I see Dick Grayson as Batman, I thought Batman. I didn't think Nightwing being Batman. So he did a good job trying to make that transition for me. It's just a shame that we don't have more time with Dick Grayson as Batman. Now, don't get me wrong. I want Bruce's back as quick as possible. But it kind of defeats the whole point of making Dick Grayson Batman if we don't get more time for him to actually be Batman. But like I said earlier in this video, the story isn't about Dick Grayson as Batman. It's about Bruce Wayne. Second thing is the art is kind of good, and this is going to be in the bad too, and I'll get to that in a moment. At some points of the art, it meshes well with Grant Morrison's stuff. I really like how it meshes. There's one point where Dick Grayson as Batman jumps over a few desks, and you see him look like a specter, like some kind of ghostly bat-like figure. It looks really cool. Another good is Damian Wayne is really starting to grow into a cool character. Now, a lot of people don't like Damian Wayne because he's an asshole, he's a cunt, he's a dickhead, he's a douchebag. You know, he's just like that sperm that you get shot in the face if you were a girl. Or a guy. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't like Damian Wayne. But the thing is that's the point of Damian Wayne. You're not supposed to like him, at least not in the beginning. See, when my girlfriend started watching wrestling with me, because I started getting back into wrestling, and she would watch it with me, she hated Randy Orton. And I asked, why did you hate Randy Orton? She said, well, he's just such a bad person. There's nothing good about him. He's just evil. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the point. He's a heel. He's a bad guy. You're supposed to hate him. And the same thing goes with Damian. See, I think when it comes down to it, Grant Morrison wanted Damian to be portrayed as a dickhead so that you did hate him. So that when Damian Wayne goes through this transformation into somewhat of a hero and a redeemable character, it's a great character growth. and I think it's pretty obvious. So that's another good thing. Damian Wayne becomes a better character. Downsides. The only downside I can really think about is that at certain points, although the art works, sometimes it just doesn't look good. It's more up to the views of the reader. I know a lot of people dig the art. For me, the art was okay. I could take it or leave it. If it was for anything other than Grant Morrison's writing on Batman, which his writing on Batman tends to be darker and a little bit more macabre, this art worked with that. But if it was for anything else, I wouldn't have digged it. Whether or not you should get it, well, to judge a Grant Morrison Batman book solely alone would just be unfair. So you kind of have to judge it in the great scheme of things that Grant Morrison does with Batman. The same thing could go with Batman and Son. Alone, the story isn't that great or impressive, but when you read it as a group with the rest of Grant Morrison's stuff, it's essential and it's good. It's another gear in a cog in the machine that is Grant Morrison's Batman. The same thing could be said about this story, is that, well, I can't really judge this story without reading what he's going to do with Batman and Robin later on. So when it comes down to reviewing it 100% and recommending it 100% and telling you how good it is 100%, I can't until I read the rest of Grant Morrison's stuff that he's doing. However, for face value for what it is as a stand-alone story, it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought the characters were nice, the new introduction of characters. And on a whole, I thought it was a good story. Well, both of them were good stories. Not quite as good as R.I.P. or Black Glove. Definitely better on its own than Batman and Son. On a whole, an enjoyable story, and I do recommend people pick it up. Especially Bat fans. Now, this is the hardcover deluxe edition. For some reason, DC just loves deluxe editions now. I don't know. It's really making my comic collection look really out of proportion. Really nice flat-line paperbacks, and this huge fucking hardcover come out, but this is the deluxe edition, so it's going to be $24.99, $25. It's really up to you if you want to pay that much. I don't know when it's going to come out in trade paperback, so it's really up to you if you want to wait that long. But for die-hard Batman fans or fans of Grant Morrison's work, I recommend picking it up. This was enjoyable. I read it through right when I got it. Yeah, good work. Not his best Batman work, but definitely, I would say an 8 out of 10. So that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.